What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and I'm here at Carolina Fear Fest with the creeper himself, Mr. Jonathan Breck. How you doing, man?
I'm good. First of all, Chris, may I say how good that beanie looks on your head?
Thank you. I know a guy.
Yeah.
So,
Now, what do you think it says? What do you think?
be eating you.
That a boy. Chris is smart.
I told you I know a little bit.
Okay, all right. What's up, everybody?
So, every 23rd spring,
Yes, sir.
it gets to eat.
Yeah.
And it's 23 years since the first Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
And I heard you say, like a lot of people when it comes to iconic movies, that you didn't know it was going to be what it was.
Yeah.
So to be at this convention this spring, on the 23rd spring, what's it like to kind of celebrate your character in the franchise with all the fans here?
You know, anytime that you get to get out and meet the fans, it's really cool. Horror is really, and I didn't know because I really hadn't done any horror before I did the first Jeepers Creepers. And with horror, you get to get out and meet the fans, and fans are great. They're loyal. They come out and see you, and it's really cool. So to be able to come on the 23rd spring, first of all, to even be celebrating a movie that was done 23 years ago was amazing in my book, you know. As I told you before, me, Justin, and Gina, and really Victor, I mean, we had no idea this was going to be a big movie. It was just a little independent movie. Mm-hmm. And we were all making it because we loved it, and that was it. And then we left, and we thought, oh, this was a great time, you know. And then a year later, you know, boom, it just became, which is a testament, I think, to Victor's script and the way he made the film. And it just took off, and it kind of, you know, had a life of its own after that, you know. And then the fans have kept us relevant all these years, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this your first year at this convention?
It is. First year at Carolina Fear Fest.
How are you liking it?
I love it. You know, it's really well run, and it's not so crazy that you can't spend time with the fans, which I like. You know, where it's not fun is there's a few conventions, not to be named, that are pack people in so closely that, you know, you're just signing autographs and just shaking hands and stuff like that. And I come out to meet the fans and to get to know a little bit about them and to have conversations with them. I love hearing, you know, their thoughts about the movie, or how they watched it with their grandma who's no longer here. Or, I mean, those are the stories that make all this kind of fun and worthwhile. And when you're at conventions that are so crowded that it becomes a assembly line, you lose some of that, you know. So I've enjoyed this show. I think the organizers have done a great job. All the fans have really enjoyed it, and you can breathe in here, which I like, you know.
Yeah,
So,
the AC is kind of nice, too.
Yeah. It's always nice, yeah.
In preparation for this interview, my buddies Nico and the gang and the Don't Go Out There horror podcast interviewed you. I was watching that a few times.
Yeah.
And speaking of the character of the creeper, it's such, number one, the design is really cool, and its mannerisms are amazing. One of the things I loved about your interview with them was you talking about getting the makeup applied and you see yourself disappear.
Yeah.
Did that help with your preparation at all? Like,
absolutely, and it's just something that I kind of found, you know. Well, first of all, you can never really prepare yourself for 7 hours in a makeup chair. I mean, there's no, you know. So I'd never done that before. I'd worked on Voyager in prosthetics, but that was not anywhere near the commitment that this was. And so, you know, I knew after the first couple makeup tests, and it was 7 hours or 6 hours, you know, I knew this was going to be a daily thing. And I just it was interesting. This makeup they did it the old-fashioned way. It's not a mask, which most of your viewers probably know, but it's layered. So, you know, each eye back in the day was 4 individual pieces, paper thin, and applied individually, and then blended, and then painted. And so it's this layering makeup process, right? And they do that so that it's like a skin. Every little thing I do, every gesture, every face registers like skin, not like a mask where you don't know what the actor's doing underneath, right? And that was really important to them. So it was through this layering process, you know, I'm in the mirror watching myself get made up, and each layer you just kind of disappear until you're gone, you know, and so I just really used it as a meditation, as you said, to just kind of get deeper and deeper and deeper into the character, and it was really By the end, it was kind of cool. Number one, you're pissed off at the end of 7 hours, so you're kind of ready to kill somebody, number one. But number two, you're just kind of in character and you're ready to roll, you know. So it was, I used it to my advantage, I think. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
It showed on film
Oh,
for
good,
sure.
Good.
No, the Creeper has a lot of great moments and some great death scenes, and just watching his personality unfold. It's kind of like Freddy Krueger. He kind of sets himself apart from like Michael Myers and Jason because he has a personality and he's got a sense of humor. So I was wondering for you, did you have a favorite scene that you filmed in any of the movies, or watching it back, or do any stick out to you personally?
You know, like a lot of great projects, the really special projects, you find stuff in the making of them. And, you know, what's great about being able to come back and make 2 more movies after the first one is we found a lot of the humor in the first movie accidentally.
Oh.
So we didn't really know that he was going to have that kind of sense of humor that he had. But we found it. Like, for instance, I don't know if you remember that scene where I'm throwing bodies in the back of the truck and I forget,
Yes,
right, the
of
head,
course.
and I leave the head out. That was a total accident. You know, Victor, we were on set. It was late one night. It's always late, right? And, you know, Victor's like, okay, you open these 2 doors. Both of them had handles on them. You open these 2 doors. We want you to open them at once. Then you throw the body in there. Then you throw the head in there. Then you throw maybe an axe or something in there. And then you put your hat on. Like, you know, 6 things you got to do, right?
Yep.
And so I just couldn't get it all done. And so I was frustrated because it was kind of an impossible task. You know, I was having to do all this and coordinate it. And I don't know, we shot it 5 or 6 times probably, maybe even more. And after 5 or 6 times, I was kind of pissed off. And so I just went through everything, slammed the door, and I saw the head down at my feet, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I was just so disgusted. I just picked the head up, and I just chunked it in there, and I slammed the door, not even realizing anything. And then I heard the whole crew just busted out laughing.
Oh, man.
And so we found moments like that. And then I think Victor, you know, wisely, I mean, he's great this way. He pushed that harder in the second movie because we found that. He's like, okay, this is something interesting. So we kind of leaned into that harder in the second movie. And so it just kind of evolved. You know, his attitude evolved organically, really. You know, so.
I love that story. Now, when it comes to the second one in particular, I know there were a few different deleted scenes. Some revealed some revealed his personality a little more, like you said, and some revealed his origins, like something about he was in medieval times, like he was around back in those days. So, as someone who was a part of the franchise, and with it being your character, basically, since those scenes, we don't have access to those scenes, is there a certain way about going about his origin story that you want to see the franchise move forward with, or anything like that?
Well, I get this. This is probably the most asked question. I mean, this is the burning question, right, with all of our fans. Everybody's dying to know, you know, where is he and where did he come from? And I heard Victor answer this question eloquently one time. He said, you know, I could tell you, but it's so much scarier if you don't know.
Yep.
And we've always held to that because we felt like as soon as you tell people what you are and what you tell them what you can do and what you can't do, you kind of build a fence around the character and you lose the ability to surprise people. And the plan was always to make more Jeepers Creepers movies, and we wanted to gradually reveal with each subsequent storyline more about the Creeper. Like, we wanted to stay ahead of you. Like, you didn't see the wing popping out. In the first one, all of a sudden the wing popped out, and you're like, what the hell is that, right? So, you know, we really wanted to reserve the right to surprise you and keep surprising you as an audience. And so it's a pretty closely guarded secret. Me, as a performer, I like blurring the lines. It was really important to me that he have some human characteristics that you recognize, maybe not consciously, but you recognize him. I think he's more disturbing that way. So I had a lot of fun dancing on the fence back and forth about, you know, who he was and what he could do. And I love giving ourselves the option to not identify exactly what he is. You know, you'll never get it from me. And I don't think you're going to get it from Victor.
Well,
so
I tried.
Yeah, it's good effort. So
Maybe next time.
yeah, the comic book guy, he took a little creative license and
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
he wrote his own origin story, and people come up to me all the time and they're like, oh well, I know what you are, and I was like, no, that's what that writer thinks we are, but that's not. Yeah, I mean, it was a good effort. But and he kind of pieced together the clues of what we'd given him so far, and he was on the right track, I'll say, but he wasn't totally right.
See,
So,
there's always the curiosity factor. Like, they remade Halloween like a while ago, and I think the biggest complaint that people had about it was that Michael Myers never needed an origin story. That was what made him scary. I feel like that's kind of what the Creeper deals with too, like the ambiguity of like what is he?
Yeah.
That's what makes it really interesting. And the franchise has had some ups and downs. The last movie did not do very well critically. I know you weren't a part of that.
talking about Reborn?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't us. That didn't. Matter of fact, nobody that was involved with the first 3 movies had anything to do with that, really, by their choice.
Right.
It's one producer who took it and said, I'm going to do something completely different. And so he kind of went his own way. And, truthfully, I would love to do another Jeepers Creepers movie, but I would want to do it the right way.
Right.
And I regret and am disappointed that they didn't make a better movie for our fan base. It's been following us for 24 years. I mean, that's the thing that pisses you off the most, right?
I can
So,
imagine.
yeah. So,
Do you think that they will make more Jeepers Creepers movies, and would you be open to playing the Creeper again? Like, how demanding of a role is it? Like, aside from like the makeup, just
Yeah.
physically demanding. What?
very,
How was that?
It's very physically demanding. So, I would absolutely, I mean, I still think I'm 30, and I would do it. You know how it is, you never see yourself as you're getting older. You always see yourself, as I don't know, younger.
Right.
And I would love to do it. Somebody just asked me today, would you do another Jeepers Creepers movie? And I said, if my phone rang right now and said you have to be in, whatever tomorrow, I'd get on a plane tonight. I mean, the role is that much fun to do, and I love the people that I was working with so much, and I met so many great fans over the last 23 years that I'd really feel like I was doing it for them. That's the truth. I would love to do it again. Could I do it physically? I'd give it one hell of a shot. Actually, the third one I just did 6 years ago.
Right.
So wasn't that long ago.
Feels like yesterday.
And the review, I try not to read reviews, but I let myself every now and then. I can't help it, right?
Right.
And the review that I liked the most was the guy started out with, the Creepers obviously hasn't lost a step. And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I still got it, baby. So
That was my thoughts on the movie too. I'm like,
Yeah,
the
thank
Creeper's
you, man.
great.
yeah, thank you.
Before I let you go, I have a speed round for you.
Oh, speed round, baby.
I got-
All right, I love speed rounds.
5 questions.
All right.
First one, your favorite director that you've ever worked with?
Well, Victor'd be close. I love working with Richard Linklater too. I
Oh.
loved him.
That's
It was great. I did the sequel to Dazed and Confused a few years ago,
That's right.
and it was really cool. Yeah, it was really special being on the set with him. I liked it.
Your most embarrassing moment on set?
I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question. Most embarrassing moment on the set? Nobody. Huh?
Got him.
Yeah, man, you got me with that one, dude. I speed around, the Creeper's speechless. I mean, I've embarrassed plenty of other people because they got a wicked sense of humor.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm a practical joker, but I don't know that anybody's in. I'll come back to that. I'll come up with something. I'm sure I always put my foot in my mouth, so I'm sure I'll come up with something. So, yeah.
Your favorite experience that you've had with a fan?
Well, one of the most recent, that's the thing that comes to mind, is I helped a guy propose to his girlfriend in London last year. He had the ring and everything like that. It was pretty cool. I'd never done that before.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Your favorite thing to do outside of the film industry?
I like to. I love being outdoors. My favorite thing to do is go on a nice long hike up in the middle of nowhere. Get out in nature.
That's nice.
It's really nice. I just I don't get to do it enough, and I love it.
And the last one before we come back to embarrassing moments.
Uh-huh.
The film that you were a part of or the role that you played that means the most to you?
Oh, okay. I did a movie called Parkland.
Okay.
Do you remember Parkland? Did you see it?
2013, right?
Yeah, exactly. Did you see it by chance?
I did.
You did? So Parkland was based on the day that Kennedy was shot, and it was named after the hospital in Dallas that they took him to. They took him to emergency room 1. And so Parkland was a reenactment, a dramatization really of that day. And I played the Presidential Protection Secret Service agent who Dallas was that was his mission. Mm-hmm. He was in charge of Dallas. He's a real life guy, obviously, and I played that character. And I went and met him. He was older. He lived in Norfolk, Virginia, not too far from here. Mm-hmm. And I went and met him before I shot the movie, and that was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had, certainly as an actor, but probably as a person. Just talking to him about that day and how he's lived with it in the 50 years since. He was of a different generation. He was of a generation that thought about service to his country. They didn't really think about what's in it for me.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of thinking, and I was so profoundly impacted and honored to play that role. And I'll just tell you just real quickly, I got a lot of great stories from him, but I went and met him, and his wife was there, and she gave me the keys to his office, basically his study. She said, knock yourself out. And so I was pouring through all these pictures, personal pictures and letters and things like that. And he told me the story of getting out. I asked him, I said, did you get out afterwards? Were you just like PTSD? And he was like, first of all, nobody knew what the hell that was. Right. And nobody talked about it. There were no support groups. I mean, I got home at 2 o'clock in the morning with blood all down my dress shirt from carrying Kennedy. My wife made me take my shirt off because she had to wash it because I only had 3 dress shirts. And I had to be back at work the next morning planning a state funeral because people were coming from all over the world. See, we didn't sit around talking about it. We didn't, it's like, it was just, and he said, I felt like I owed it to the country to stay in as long as I possibly could after that. So he stayed in, and he protected several other presidents, and then his wife finally made him get out because he got too damn old and he couldn't run alongside the car anymore. And they gave him a desk job in D.C., and they lived in Northern Virginia, and he said, that was the hardest time, even though it was years later, because every night after work, I'd drive over the Potomac Street Bridge, and at the end of the Potomac Street Bridge was the Eternal Flame. And he'd say, I drove past it every night on my way home from work. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, that just, you didn't ask for that long of a story, but I wanted to tell it because it's, and I told him, I said, beyond what I ever do as an actor, this was a seminal experience in my life, and one that I'll share with my kids, and that's when you're grateful for the opportunity to do what we do, be put in situations to be exposed to people like that, and see different points of view and how other people live. Makes you grateful for who you are, and the opportunities that you get. But that was really a profound experience. That was really cool. Yeah, so.
I know I didn't ask for a long story like that, but I'm glad you told it for real.
Cool.
It reminds me of the don't go out there interview when you were talking about fulfillment, like everyday fulfillment.
Yep.
It reminds me of that,
Yep.
and that really resonated with me too.
Yeah, cool.
Well, we got to get back to embarrassing moments. I know we had a couple minutes. It wasn't that long, but were you able to think of an embarrassing moment?
I was not, but I will share a story with you anyway.
Sweet.
So we're on the second movie, and as you know, the movie's just chock full of annoying teenagers. And as I told you, I've got a sixth sense of humor, and so I'm not one to waste a good makeup, right? I had a lot of downtime on the set, so I was constantly coming up with shit to do. And one day, I decided I was going to go into the restroom and hide in one of the stalls and wait for one of the kids to come in the stall next to me and pop out over the top.
That's
evil. I'm proud. I'm very proud of that, and I did a lot of things like that. I just totally terrorized the shit out of them.
Oh my god!
So I had so much fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So.
That's one of my favorite stories I've heard at a convention.
Yeah.
Well, that was everything I had for you.
All right.
Was there any closing message to any fans watching?
No, other than hey, thanks for watching The Creeper for all these years. I get so many amazing stories at conventions like this. People come up to me, tell me about who they saw the first time they saw Jeepers Creepers, who they were with. I mean, it's kind of crazy to hear all these stories, and you can't even wrap your head around what these movies have meant to people. But I love hearing the stories, and I really appreciate you coming out. So it really means a lot to me when you come out. And I want to talk to you, so get your ass off the couch and come out to one of these shows one of these days and introduce yourself. I'm looking forward to meeting you, man. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All
it was
right.
great to talk with you.
Yeah, you too, man.
And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.